whatever it was. I can't conceive of a more unsuitable topic of conversation, quite as though there were also many chicken nabobs. She sipped her tea. But then, your dear Lord Lamorna does seem so very concerned with trade these days. I'm sure his father would have been quite appalled. Beau Lamorna was a person of the old style, don't you think? Her eyes lingered on Hester. I would imagine darling Beau spinning in his grave, if he only knew the half of how we live now. Well, Hester said calmly, considering my husband's lands are so rich in copper and coastline, it would be a little foolish of him not to take advantage of both. And as for the deliverance, it was her unseaworthiness my husband took issue with. Unlike Hawkins Boscobel, Lord Lamorna would never send men from his own land to sea in a vessel that ought to have been condemned, or any man at all for that matter. Emily's smile froze. Well, it's hardly our place to understand the complexities of commerce. I can't hope to have an informed opinion on such issues, although with your background, my dear, I do appreciate that matters might be quite otherwise. She spoke as if trade were akin to the procurement of prostitutes. Had Emily confused Hester's father's naval career with that of a merchant seaman? Or did she allude to the fact that he himself had once been traded as cargo? Emily had been speaking French, so continued her sentence even as Mr. Hughes opened the double doors, resplendent in his sober butler's garb. And then Hester's husband, Lord Lamorna, came into the drawing-room. He had long since shelved the title Viscount Crowlas in favour of his dead father's ancient name, but those who knew him well still called him Crow. He wore a white shirt and a jacket of midnight blue superfine, silencing all feminine chatter with his presence alone, with his black hair in its perpetual state of disarray, those lashes always so very dark against such white skin, and his pale, oyster-grey eyes, gifted with the ability to privately communicate his quite disreputable intentions without the need for so much as a word. "You women have outlasted us," Crow said, with a slight bow to Emily, Dorothea, and Lady Mulgrave. "Castlereagh and Mulgrave have just gone up to bed. I go too, my lady." He stood just close enough that he would not shame Hester with his touch in public, as though she were his concubine and not his wife, and Hester longed for the moment she could reach for him beneath the crisp linen sheets, aired and lavender-scented. Knowing it, he gave her one of his quick smiles, all the more precious for their rarity. "Well, really, Lamorna," Lady Mulgrave said, laying down her netting at last, "are we not to drink our tea before you summon your wife to bed? I'm appalled at such medieval behaviour, even if I am surprised to see it among your mealy-mouthed generation." "Drink all the tea you wish, ma'am, but I'm going to bolt the door," Crow said. He wasn't one to wither before a woman who was old, white, and rich enough to be just as outrageous as she pleased. With another smile, Crow bowed and went out, and Mr. Hughes remained entirely expressionless as he closed the doors behind him, leaving the four women alone in their enclave once more. "Dear me, what a disgracefully beautiful young man he is," Lady Mulgrave went on, as if she were discussing new curtains for the breakfast parlour. "They're always the worst." Emily smiled from the depths of the Queen Anne chair. "Indeed," she said, "we all think you're being so amazingly dignified about it, darling Hester." With considerable effort, Hester stopped the honey spoon rattling against the inside of her teacup. "Dignified about what?" "Emily, is this really the moment?" Dorothea said quickly, glancing away from her letter. Lady Mulgrave spoke without looking up from her netting. "Is there ever a good moment?" Taking that as her invitation, Emily treated Hester to her most condescending smile. "Oh, Hester, I do admire you for treating the entire affair with the contempt it deserves. In my view, Lord Burford's so-called daughter ought to be sent to some quiet place in the country and forgotten about." Hester fought for breath. It was an open secret that Lady Burford had once been not only her husband's stepmother, but also his mistress. Lady Mulgrave stirred a spoonful of honey into her own tea, which by judicious application from a small flask in her reticule was at this point mostly brandy anyway.